So welcome everyone here with our Lunch with the Boxer series. We're going to get started with global scholars and study abroad and international travel, what many of us want to do as soon as we get to college. And we have two amazing hosts. But before we introduce them, I would love to have Griffin with financial aid to give any updates with financial aid since it's a hot topic right now. Go ahead, Griffin.
That's right. It's the financial aid 2024 roller coaster, right? So again, for folks who are maybe watching who I haven't met before, my name's Griffin Shawless. I'm one of our undergraduate financial aid counselors here at Pacific, and hopping on just to give kind of an update with where we're at. We've started sending out in batches those financial aid notices to folks. We're working through them as fast as they're received. So if you haven't gotten anything yet, it's not a reason to panic. We're working through them kind of as they come in and getting that info sent out to you as soon as possible. And the biggest thing and the biggest reason I'm here is just giving you all a face to financial aid, someone who you can reach out to once you actually do get that information as well. And the biggest thing that I'm going to do as well is attach the contact info for both of our undergraduate financial aid counselors here in the chat. So that's myself and Stacy England in our office as well, who is fantastic. And what we do is we just split the alphabet right down the middle. So students with last names A through L, I'm your financial aid counselor, and students' last names M through Z. Stacy's going to be your specific counselor. So once you do get that information, if you haven't yet, just stay in touch with either Stacy or myself, and we can kind of walk through all that financial aid information that you might need and go into potentially some additional resources as well as you're looking through there. But I know that you've got some more exciting topics to get to, and I don't want to hold up any more info about all things global scholars. So we'll take off for now and just stay in touch with me and with your admissions counselors. You have an amazing admissions office here at Pacific, and they know their stuff and they know the people to connect you to. So stay in touch with either of us and let us know what you need.
Thank you so much, Griffin. And yeah, and they're working really hard to get everything to you as quick as possible. I know many of you want to make a decision to attend Pacific and look at all your options. So thank you, Griffin, and your team for your never-ending work and your heart that leads the way. So I really appreciate you, Griffin. Have a nice day. Thank
Thanks, y'all.
you. And just if you're tuning in, my name is Donna Ramos Farsan, and I'm one of the admissions counselors supporting students from Hawaii as well as Bay Area, California. So we have two really great experts in travel. So we have Erica, who will be introducing herself, and then we also have Sky, who is a world traveler student. But I'm going to turn it over to them and share, so they can share all the great things that happen with study abroad.
Hi, everyone. This is an exciting day for me. We have Senior Projects Day going on campus, and our global scholars are presenting their amazing work. So that's exciting, and I'm really excited to share with you a little bit about the Global Scholars Program and about study abroad at Pacific in general. So I'm going to pop open a little slideshow here, and just bear with me one moment. I am going to share this one. There we go. Can you see? Awesome. Great. Really glad to be here. I'm Erica Andre. I'm the director of the Global Scholars Program, and I'm also involved with the Study Abroad program. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about Global Scholars and Study Abroad. I'm going to cover three things today. First, I'm going to cover Global Scholars first year seminar and January travel course. Then I'm going to talk about short-term study abroad, and we're going to hear from Sky. And then I'll also talk a little bit about our semester study abroad programs, and we'll leave plenty of time for questions. So what is this Global Scholars Program? There are two parts to it. For incoming first-year students, you have the opportunity to apply to a special first-year seminar and travel course. So in the Global Scholars Seminar, you will learn about an international and diverse topic on campus in the fall. And then during the January winter term, you will spend about 2 weeks abroad with your first-year seminar course and faculty learning about in face-to-face about the place that you'd studied on campus. And then there's also a 4-year pathway, and this 4-year pathway is great for students to bring an international and diverse perspectives overlay to whatever they want to study. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I really want to focus on our study abroad opportunities. So this first year seminar, every student takes first year seminar, but the Global Scholars one is really special because it has a travel course attached to it. And now these first year seminars for Global Scholars are really interdisciplinary and experiential. So just this academic year, in the fall, Global Scholars learned about Renaissance Florence from 2 professors, a professor of history and a professor of politics and government. And they learned about the history, the politics and government, the art and architecture of Florence. And then in January, they all traveled together to see Florence firsthand. In that first picture, you can see Professor Jobs talking about the Gates of Paradise, this giant door that has a lot of iconography on it. The middle picture was taken by one of our students. It's the inside of the cathedral dome, the Duomo in Florence. What I learned is that when you're looking at it up close, the perspective looks all wrong because it was designed, it was painted so that when you are standing on the floor of the cathedral, the perspective is correct. But when you're up in the dome, looking at it in personal, it's all distorted. Something you wouldn't know unless you're there learning about it in person. And then, of course, it wasn't all history and architecture. Our students also did a cooking class. So they learned to cook gnocchi and got to eat the food that they cooked. That was this academic year. Last academic year, we went to Tahiti and we learned about the ecology, culture, and civic engagement in Tahiti. So we did palm weaving, taro gardening, coral restoration, and we learned a lot from the people of Tahiti. This coming year, the Global Scholars Program will be traveling to Costa Rica. So we have 2 fantastic faculty, one from Spanish and one from biology, and they'll be teaching the first year seminar looking at pura vida, sort of this pure life, examining the culture and language of Costa Rica, as well as the ecology, because Costa Rica is an ecological Eden. So in order to take part in that, we only have 20 spots. And so if you want to be part of that Global Scholars first year seminar and travel course to Costa Rica, you need to apply. And you can get to the application through that QR code there on the screen, or you can visit pacificu.edu/global scholars. Both of those will get you to the application. Now, this is the application is fairly simple. It's only 3 or 4 questions. It's asking you about your prior experience with people who are different from you and why you're interested in the Global Scholars Program. We want to know about your interests and who you are and why study abroad and Costa Rica and the Global Scholars Program is interesting to you. So fill that application out. We will review those on a rolling basis, and we'll have decisions out to everyone by about July, whether they've gotten into the Global Scholars FYS. If you don't get into the Global Scholars FYS, no worries. You'll have another FYS to choose from. And you also still have a pathway, and you still have a pathway to complete the Global Scholars 4-year international and diverse perspectives overlay. But more important, you have a lot of opportunities still to study abroad. So study abroad at Pacific is pretty magical. We offer 2 different types of study abroad programs. The first are short-term faculty-led study abroad programs. And so these are run by our own faculty, and it is the students from Pacific attend these courses. We also call them travel courses. What's really magic about these is you'll take a 2-credit prep course the semester before you travel, and then you take a 2-credit travel course. And so these two, the prep course and the travel, make a 4-credit package, and that's sort of the standard 4-credit class. That those 2 credits you'll take on campus, and it will prepare you to study abroad. And then either if you take that prep course in the fall, you will do your travel course in January. Or if you do a prep course in the spring semester, then you'll travel at the end of the semester in May and June. Some examples of our short-term study abroad travel courses. These are just 3 of the upcoming courses that are going to be available in the 2024-25 academic year. Urban Cultures in Miami. So our professor of anthropology, Aaron Greer, is going to be, yes, and Sky has experience with Aaron. He's going to be leading a trip to Miami. Our philosophy professor, Catherine Levy, is going to be bringing a group of students to Nepal to learn about religion and philosophy. And one of our kinesiology professors, Brian Searcy, will be taking students to Costa Rica to learn surf science, or as he calls it, surfology. And so students will spend their days learning about the culture of Costa Rica, surfing, and then also learning about body mechanics and the kinesiology of surfing. 3 examples, really different. You might also notice that not all of our travel courses are international. We also recognize that there is a lot of diversity in the United States to experience. So this Urban Cultures in Miami is a great example of that. So students traveling to Miami are going to learn about Cuban culture, really about the mix, the rich variety and mix of cultures that make Miami such an intercultural world city. We have another travel course that travels to Navajo Nation in January, and that course does service learning. So the students traveling there will chop firewood that will help the elders of the community make it through the winter. In turn, our students have the opportunity to learn a lot about the Navajo people. They have homestays, or they're invited into the homes of the Navajo people that they are helping, and it's a great intercultural exchange. It's great for students who can't leave the country for whatever reason. Even if you don't have a passport, or you can't leave the country, or you're just nervous about going to a place where you don't speak the language, there's an option for you. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Sky Carruthers. She was on a travel course just this January. Sky, do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. So I took my travel course. It was Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. And it was a focus on tourism in that country with Aaron Greer, who leads the Miami trip. He and Don Schweitzer were the main professors there, and it was a great class. Took the 2-credit class. It was like once a week in the fall. Pretty easy. We learned about the history. Had discussions over what the travel abroad experience would be like. We had game night so that we were all getting to know each other, so we'd feel a little bit better as a group going on the trip. I think there were about 20 of us. And then in January, we flew 11 hours to Trinidad and then into Tobago, where we stayed for 2 weeks. It was super magical. Yeah.
So Sky, I know that you all were charged with doing a project that involved talking with local people. What was your project?
Yeah, so I'm a criminal justice major here at Pacific, so I wanted to focus more on the crime aspects of tourism. Since we stayed, Trinidad's the bigger island, way more urban. We didn't go to Trinidad this year. We stayed 2 weeks fully in Tobago, which is pretty rural. Not a lot of crime there, but very good with tourism and working there. So yeah, it was cool to talk to locals, talk to other tourists about like if they knew the history of Tobago, why they were even there, and talk to police officers there as well.
Thank you. One of the really important things that differentiates our short-term study abroad travel courses from tourism is that our students are really prepared. We don't just travel to a place to have a good time and sit on the beach and enjoy, tacos. We really want to engage with local people. We really want to, we take students to places where their learning is going to be really enriched from that experience. Now, of course, it's not all learning and nose to the grindstone academics. Of course, students also have a lot of opportunity to enjoy the local scene, but we really do try also to be conscious of our footprint when we travel. So we try not to be obnoxious. We try to adapt to local customs, and that's a really important part of what we do in the travel courses.
Yeah, Aaron Greer suggested that we bring like food containers that we could reuse, just easier when we were getting food. Tobago has a huge like plastic waste problem. It's really sad, honestly, to like walk around and notice it. But yeah, doing things like that. And the thing is, like, I'm sure this isn't just relevant to the tourism class, but you can do activities that you find fun or interesting, and then just talking to locals still counts as that. Aaron Greer is a surfer. He taught me how to surf. We surfed pretty much straight 2 weeks. And then while you're out there sitting on the lineup, you're chatting with other locals, you're chatting with tourists who are here for the surf as well. Like, it's really involved. It's cool.
Great, thanks, Sky. I'd also like to talk a little bit about our semester programs. So the short-term programs are about 2 weeks of travel with a faculty member from Pacific and students from Pacific. Our study abroad semester programs are probably more what you may think of as sort of a traditional study abroad program. So Pacific offers semester-long and year-long programs in the Americas, in Europe, and Asia Pacific. There are 10 countries and dozens of cities within those countries where we offer programs. Now, the process for studying abroad is a little more involved. To do a travel course, you talk to the faculty member, you apply for the course. And if there's room in the course, you can go. Study abroad requires an application, and it requires planning ahead. Now, students who study abroad will take part in one of two kinds of study abroad experience. We have a number of programs that are direct exchange, where we send students to the university and that university sends students to us. And those are directly supported by Pacific. We also offer programs from external providers in international education. And so depending on your program, you may be taking part in a direct exchange, or you may be taking part in a program that's offered through an international education provider. There are options for everyone, depending on what you want to do. So we have programs where you are required to have a high level of proficiency in the language spoken in the country. We also have programs that require no proficiency in a language other than English. So whether you can speak English or speak another language, there's a program for you. We also have programs that mesh really well with some majors. In England, for example, we have a program at York St. John, and our kinesiology majors in particular have great success taking courses there that transfer back and count for their major. Now, when you study abroad, you will get a packet of 12 study abroad credits, upper division study abroad credits. And when you return, the registrar and your faculty advisor will figure out how those courses count. Most often, those will count toward your core requirements. Sometimes they will count to your major requirements, but in every case, all of those credits count toward your degree. This isn't just fun time. This is real. The courses that you take while you're abroad allow you to gather credits that keep you on track to graduate. Plus, you're having an amazing experience, experiencing another culture. Even if it's an English-speaking place that you're going to, if it's Ireland or England or Australia, they may speak English, but the culture is really different. Something I also want to mention here is that we offer a set of study abroad wraparound courses. They're called Global Skills. And I can't emphasize enough how important these are if you're planning to study abroad for a semester or a year, because that 2-credit prep course that you take the semester before you study abroad is going to let you dive deep on the culture of the place that you're going. It's going to teach you about culture shock and what to expect while you are away, because it's not easy being away from home. Then there's a 1-credit course that you take while you're abroad. And so when you're bumping into those, we call them critical incidences, but those aspects of culture in the other place that just seem weird or don't make sense to you or are annoying, this course gives you an opportunity to work with your professor at Pacific and other students who are studying abroad to share that experience and to sort of debrief and say, what's up with this? It also really can keep you connected to Pacific. And then that last 1-credit class you take once you've returned from study abroad, that's the wraparound. And that is where the magic happens. So research shows that with experiential learning, the experience itself is only part of the picture. Where the real learning happens is afterwards, when you reflect on that experience and make meaning from it. And so this global skills course gives you the opportunity to do that, to really make sense of your study abroad experience, to articulate how it fits with your career pathway. We also work with the Career Advising Center to put together a resume that lists all of those career readiness skills that you gained during study abroad. You might not even have known that you did it, but study abroad is such a powerful, transformative experience. We really want you to be able to reflect on that and tell the world about what an amazing experience you had. Sky, are you planning to study abroad for a semester?
Probably not. I just moved up my graduation date, so I'm planning to graduate in a year. So
Awesome, congratulations. Well, that's all that I have to say about study abroad. I would love to open this for any questions that you might have. And
Yeah,
I'll
thank you so
share.
much, Erica and Sky. And just looking at the photos just makes me think about that. That's a one big regret that I have when I attended Pacific. I didn't study abroad, and I don't have those experiences. I only studied abroad when I became an adult, and it's a lot more expensive when you have to do all those things. And on alumni panels that I host, many alum from Pacific and college students in general wish they took advantage of some kind of study abroad experience. So it's really great that you have both global scholars, you have the winter term or Jan term, and traditional study abroad. So thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, so amazing to see all the opportunities. And we did have some questions that came in that families had asked. And they couldn't attend. But how does it work if you're an athlete? What opportunities would you have if you're an athlete wanting to take advantage of study abroad?
Sky, are you an athlete?
I am not. I'm not.
So there are study abroad opportunities for everyone, including athletes. The trick is you have to plan ahead. So we offer study abroad programs that happen in the fall. We also offer study abroad semesters in the spring. And so depending on your athletic season, one semester or another might work better for you. Also, the short-term travel courses can be a great way to experience study abroad without that full semester commitment. And those spring travel courses in particular generally travel after the sports season has wrapped up. So those spring travel courses can be a great option for athletes.
Yeah, thank you. I know many athletes would want to take part in something like that. And that's usually their fear is like, oh, will it affect my season? Will I miss things? But definitely that plan ahead, I think, is important and key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not
Mhm.
impossible to do a semester abroad either. You know, it's important to talk to your coach. Let your coach and your academic advisor know that you want to study abroad, and get them on your team to help you brainstorm when might be the best opportunity for you to take advantage of a semester abroad.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I know many people are concerned about costs when it comes to study abroad. It's always a scary thing to think about. Can you kind of give like just like a general, if they took the abroad in the semester versus the Jan term versus the Global Scholar Program, just so they can understand the breakdown a little bit?
You bet. I'm going to start with Global Scholars since it is near and dear to my heart. The Global Scholars really tries to make global learning equitably available to all students. And what that means is that we are dedicated to keeping the costs for that program as low as possible. For those 20 students who are accepted into the Global Scholars Program, they will pay for their airfare. So somewhere between $500 and $1,000, and the rest of the program costs, which range between three and a half thousand dollars, are covered by the university. So for that Global Scholars Program, $500. You're paying for your airfare. You're not for the short-term travel courses. The credits that you earn for those courses, those are included in your tuition, in your regular spring, winter, fall tuition. There are additional costs, though, for the programming with a travel course. Sky, do you remember how much Trinidad cost you for the program?
Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago, I believe, is one of the cheapest travel abroad opportunities for winter term. And it was 2,500 in total. And I know the Student Senate also provides scholarships for travel abroad as well. The
Yep,
short.
absolutely. Yeah, so 2,500 is pretty typical for the travel courses. They range from our Navajo Nation course cost a good bit less, so they range anywhere from about $1,500 to gosh, it was just after COVID and airfare was crazy. One of our courses came in at right around $6,000 to, I think, Chile or Argentina. But that was unusual. The midway point is probably somewhere around $3,500 additional for the travel courses. The last piece, semester-long study abroad, is it sounds expensive, right? You're spending a whole semester abroad. Here's what's important to know. Now, the details are going to vary by the program that you choose and your circumstances. But the general rule is that your Pacific University financial aid covers the study abroad program. You pay your usual tuition, room and board to Pacific University, and Pacific sends you abroad. So the tuition that you're paying at Pacific is covered through your regular financial aid package and covers your costs for when you are abroad. Now, you do have to pay for your airfare in addition, and spending money while you are abroad is also additional. But generally speaking, all of your financial aid package will apply to study abroad on the semester or year-long programs.
Yeah, thank you so much for that breakdown, Erica. It really puts into perspective. We're going to go to Japan this summer, and just the flight plus a hotel alone is going to cost where Sky was paying. So it's nice to see that you do have some added benefits and those kind of things, lodging and that kind of stuff.
And,
Yeah, go ahead.
And as Sky mentioned, there are scholarships available. So students who receive Pell Grants can apply for a Gilman scholarship, which will pay up to $5,000 for either short-term or semester-long study abroad if you're awarded that scholarship. And the Student Senate also offers a limited number of $1,000 scholarships specifically for students participating in our short-term travel courses.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And we have some students who are looking into go into some type of medical work, whether that be becoming a doctor or a PA. How would that work? You know, because a lot of the classes are lab-based, and is study abroad still an option if they're trying to graduate in 4 years and get all their credits to go to some type of medical type of school?
Yes, 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 and yes. So it's a little bit trickier with the science majors that are really sort of strictly regimented, where the first year there's a very specific curriculum that leads into the second year, very specific curriculum, but it's possible. And your academic advisor will be able to help you find the semester that makes the most sense and the program that makes the most sense for you. I mentioned before that the courses that you take, those credits that you take abroad, count toward your major. So we know, for example, if you're a kinesiology major, York St. John is a great fit for you. And you're probably going to want to study abroad when you are a sophomore. You know, so with every major, it's a little bit different, but usually there's a semester that's a sweet spot for studying abroad. And the faculty in the department and your academic major advisor will be able to help you with that as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I mentioned earlier also, it's Senior Projects Day. 2 of our Global Scholars graduates are kinesiology majors. So they, in fact, participated in study abroad while they were doing one of our most popular and rigorous majors. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah, thank you. I know a lot of them, they're just don't want to not graduate in 4 years, or they want to be an overachiever like Sky and graduate early, you know.
Yeah.
So they're always thinking about that kind of stuff to make sure that they're not adding another semester or feeling behind on their plan. So thank you for answering that question. Yeah.
But the key is, if you are a STEM major, it's really important that your first semester on campus, you start talking to your advisor and the study abroad office, your global scholars advisor, and you tell them that you want to study abroad, because it's almost a year-long process from when you think, I want to study abroad, to the time that you do study abroad. There's an application process, which usually happens a full year before the semester you want to travel. So plan ahead, plan ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And the next question, I think maybe I'll ping it to Sky, because the student is kind of nervous. You know, they're from out of state and coming to a new place, Oregon. You know, it's a transition in itself. They're kind of nervous to study abroad and, you know, not really sure how they feel about branching out to another country. And can you talk a little bit about that support or how you felt being abroad?
Yeah.
And you're also not from Oregon as well. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm from Northern Idaho, so not the biggest transition to come to Oregon, but a decent one. Going to the Caribbean was my first international experience. I'd gone to Canada, like I'd crossed the border driving the day before. But it was a huge transition. I went with a lot of my good friends on the trip. We all happened to get out of the same class. I have a great relationship with my professors on that trip, which helped a lot to ease stress. And the entire time through the prep class, through like getting on the flights, and like your professors and your classmates are there with you every step of the way. My professors kept repeating like safety is our number 1, making sure you're learning something is number 2, and like having a fun time, and like this is going to be a memorable experience. Yeah, it was very easy after having relationships like that.
Yeah, I think it always comes down to, at least this way you're with people, not by
Mhm.
yourself if you're worried. So I think it's that nice little transition before maybe you study abroad by yourself, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then like we had group trips planned for on the trip. You didn't have to attend those if you didn't want, but like going on a glass bottom boat tour was one thing that we all planned. Fishing, like pulling seine was something we'd all planned to do together. So it's a lot of, even if you go on a class trip and you don't really know anyone, you're bonding and learning with everyone at the same time. It's a really great experience.
Yeah, and in the end, you learn that you have a little bit more strength and courage that you didn't know existed. Because
Yeah.
I can only imagine on your adventure that there was a lot of like learning and growing, and wow, didn't know I had this in me.
Yep. And having to like being not forced, but encouraged to talk to everyone so much, like really changed how I approach my life here in the US. Like I've become way more talkative. I'm way more comfortable having way different types of conversations with people. It's been really eye-opening. It's really cool.
Thank you for sharing that, Sky. I know many students are nervous about that transition. And speaking as one of our last questions, so language, I know some students are wondering about, do I need to make my requirement and learn a language that is spoken in that particular country or area? Are there English speaking options? Yeah, just kind of talk about that requirement for language.
Sure. So we've got programs around the world. Generally speaking, our short-term travel courses don't require that you speak the language. It's encouraged, and oftentimes faculty will give you little primers, sort of some emergency language. So you've got some phrases and courtesies so you can engage with local people in a friendlier way. So you don't need language for our travel courses. For semester abroad, it depends on the program. Our language majors at Pacific are required to study abroad for a semester, and those students must have an intermediate level of language proficiency. So that means that they have taken 2 years or the equivalent of 2 years of college language. And that's because when they go to the country, they're going to be taking courses in the target language. So they'll go to Spain and all of their courses will be in Spanish. And so it's really important that you have enough proficiency in the language that you can get by in the classroom. There are other programs, though. We have programs in Japan that work both ways. We have some programs in Japan where you have to have a high level of language proficiency, but we also have programs where you are encouraged to learn some Japanese, again, so you have a baseline for getting around in the country. But the expectation is that the courses you take will be in English and that you'll take additional language courses while you're there to deepen your language skills. So it really, it's almost as individual as the student, but you can find something that will meet your needs. Or if you want to push yourself a little and develop language proficiency, we have courses, study abroad programs that will really push you as well to deepen your language proficiency and become much more fluent.
Yeah, thank you. I know that's some students are like, Auntie Dawn, I can barely get through English class. How am I gonna
Yeah.
survive in another country? So thank you for bringing down the stress a little, that there are options if they're nervous about that.
And also, I want to remind everyone again about these global skills courses, because they really do a lot to prepare you for that experience so that when you get there, it's not such a big shock. You are going to know about the cultural customs. You're going to know about the government. You're going to know about what uh, what sports are played in the country, what foods are really popular, what the money looks like. You'll learn about those things before you go, and you have your global skills faculty member to support you along the way. Most students, I think of her as sort of training wheels. Most students get abroad, and within 2 weeks they don't need the training wheels. But it's always nice to know that you've got that support to lean on if you need.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to the both of you. Erica, thank you for making this a lot more simplified process and comforting, and a person they can talk to about these worries about studying abroad. And thank you, Sky, for being a leader of a student who's been there, done that, and says, hey, I've grown in the process, and I encourage you to do the same and take advantage of those opportunities. So thank you to the both of you. And I'm sure many families will feel very excited to talk about study abroad as an option when they come to Pacific. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just as a friendly reminder, families, as you're watching, we're going to be having on May 1st is going to be our next one, is how to get jobs on campus. And that's going to be our next Lunch with the Boxer series. And so please stay tuned, and we look forward to seeing you again on another Wednesday. Have a nice day. Take care, everyone.